It's our podcast. We're here. Deal with it as we move forward in our journey through the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man 2. So get ready to fight some drones, argue over birds, and casually invent new elements, this time on Blind Spots and Second Thoughts. Welcome to Blind Spots and Second Thoughts. I'm Dan.
I'm Heather.
And Heather, today we continue our journey into the MCU.
Woo!
With Iron Man 2.
Okay, first sequel.
Heather, what do you know about this movie?
I don't know anything about it other than what I know about the first movie. I know that the first movie happened.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right. What do you hope for in an Iron Man sequel?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what to hope for because I'm not, as we discussed in the first Iron Man episode, or did we really? But I'm not a comic book person.
Right.
So I've liked the comic book movies that I've seen, but I haven't really been immersed in the world enough to really have any ideas or hopes for what subsequent movies will be about. I hope that Robert Downey Jr. continues to be charming, but I think that's a given. But other than that, I don't know that I have any specific hopes. Is that okay?
Yes, that's perfectly acceptable.
Wonderful.
No, it's not okay.
Oh.
I need you to need something.
Oh, God. Not my forte.
All right. Well, that said, what do you think will happen?
I think some havoc is going to ensue.
Uh-huh.
And Tony Stark is going to have to break out the Iron Man suit again. Or perhaps he's going to need to build an even better Iron Man suit that does more stuff. I made it clear in the Iron Man episode that I did not see Tony Stark and Pepper Potts getting together, but I do suspect that there might be more of a romantic storyline there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on record with my thoughts on that.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, maybe some more people are going to show up because now we're really getting into it. And so maybe some more characters from the MCU that I've heard of are going to be there. Can I say which ones?
Yes,
No.
Actually, that was going to be my next question. Who do you think, aside from the returning cast from the first Iron Man, do you know anyone else who will be showing up for this movie?
I don't know. I would say, I guess my best guess would be possibly Bruce Banner because we did also already watch The Incredible Hulk. So I know that has been established in this universe. As far as other Marvel characters, I know some of them, but I don't know if they'll be in this movie.
Any wild guesses?
No.
Okay.
I don't make wild guesses.
So, releasing in April of 2010, 2 years after the first Iron Man 2 really and truly kicked off the MCU with the introduction of several characters and plot elements that will run through the franchise. Jon Favreau returned to direct, and it was written by Justin Theroux.
Oh, that's very interesting.
The movie also featured a soundtrack album that is essentially an AC/DC greatest hits album. The movie was, of course, a success, grossing nearly $624 million on a budget somewhere in the range of $200 million. This was also the first film to be released with Marvel Studios as a part of the House of Mouse, with Disney closing the deal to acquire Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion at the very end of 2009.
Was there a little bit of a Dr. Evil?
$4 billion.
Okay, I thought so. Thank you.
Have you seen the Austin Powers movies?
I have seen the Austin Powers movies. Goldmember, I've only seen once, I think, but the first two I saw many times.
Okay. Given that the MCU is the most successful and profitable film franchise ever, that $4 billion does seem like a pretty good deal in hindsight.
Yeah.
However, the distribution deal for Iron Man 2 remained in place with Paramount, so Paramount's logo still appears at the beginning of this movie.
Well, I will notice that now.
Do you have any other thoughts or theories before we watch
I don't
this
think
movie?
so. I don't think so.
All right, well then let's suit up and watch the movie.
Okay.
Hey, 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 special delivery, Candygram. I brought you something.
Oh, yeah.
We got you the bird, pal.
This is not my bird.
What do you mean? That's the bird. This is the bird. Yeah. Pulled a lot of strings to get this bird. This is a great bird.
It's a beautiful.
We got this all the way from Russia.
A man, this is not my bird.
Well, listen, even if it's not the bird, I mean, this is a gorgeous bird. I mean, you know, look, don't get so attached to things. Learn to let go. Wait a minute. Jack, what is that? That's not a helmet? What is that? Ivan, what's this? Jack? Is that a helmet? Doesn't look like a helmet to me. How are you supposed to get a head in there? Jack, could you put your head in there?
No.
Try to put your head in there. No, go ahead. Try to put your head in there. See, Ivan, he can't put his head in there. That's not a helmet. It's a head. I need to put a guy in there. I need to fit a person in that suit. You understand?
Drone better.
What? Drone better? Why is drone better? Why is drone better?
People make problem. Trust me, drone better.
Ivan, you know, I like you. I got you the bird. You said no problem. That's what you said to me. You said no problem. Now I need suits. The government wants suits. Like Iron Man. You understand? That's what the people want. That's what's going to make them happy.
Hey man, don't get too attached to things. Learn to let go.
Okay, Heather, that was Iron Man 2. Mm-hmm. What did you think?
I liked it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. It's definitely one of the weaker entries in the MCU. I don't know if it's definitely not my least favorite anymore because some of the more recent ones are much more of a mess. I don't think it is as boring as The Incredible Hulk. I really do think The Incredible Hulk is just a very, very boring movie. I think that there are watchable parts of this, but it is a mess of a movie. It's a mess. It's very much crushed under the weight of this is the first movie when they started to have a plan and they wanted to actually start to set up things for the Avengers. There were also production problems. They gave them basically 2 years to make the movie with like no real plan as to what was going to happen. So, you know, there were messy contract negotiations. There were Mickey Rourke had some issues with the script. Apparently they didn't have a locked script when they went to shoot again, which, you know, it worked for the first Iron Man. I don't think it worked here.
Yeah.
I think it's just a mess. The editing is not great. The pacing is not great. So there's fun moments and the action scenes are fun and it does set up a lot of fun stuff and characters who come back later on in the MCU. But yeah, it's just a mess of a movie.
Yeah, for sure. There were some weak points that I definitely noticed while we were watching it. There was a lot happening and moving from one storyline to another, I would sometimes be like, oh yeah, I forgot that this was also happening. There's some weird character choices that I don't know if they were acting choices or if it was scripted, but there was some weird stuff happening. But I thought it was a fun watch. I mean, Sam Rockwell's character is like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, half the time I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to, I don't know. He was weird.
I really like Sam Rockwell. I mean, just
Me
in
too.
general, Sam Rockwell is a bright spot and he is playing Justin Hammer, a military contractor. That the name is from the comics. So
well, yeah, but I was like, he works for a weapons company and his name is Hammer. So that's a little on the nose.
it is, but you know, comic book naming conventions.
Well, there's another name later that I have a similar comment about.
Which is
Natalie Rushman, who is, well, her name is Russian.
Oh.
And I'm like, is there something there? Russian.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying. I'm like, they're like, she has a Russian name, but she needs a pseudonym. So what should it be? Rushman.
Right. Like, here's a super secret spy who's going to go under deep cover in one of the most important companies in the world. And she's going to pick an alias that is the same initials as her actual name.
It just seemed a little bit like, really? That was a bit lazy. But I thought it was a fun watch for the most part. I think that maybe RDJ was doing some heavy lifting with his charisma.
It's not an unwatchable movie, but it is a mess, and it is a movie that's like, it is lucky that the MCU survived it. The Incredible Hulk didn't do amazingly. It did okay, but it didn't do great. So this was like, all eyes were on this. So that meant that there was executive interference. Robert Downey Jr. was fresh off Tropic Thunder. So he brought in Justin Theroux, who is one of the writers of that movie. They wanted to do the Demon in a Bottle storyline, which is a storyline that dealt with Tony's alcoholism in the comics. A very famous one. Tony really had serious alcohol problems, and that was one of his big character flaws. They wanted to do that, but at the time, then the executives were very nervous about that and didn't really want that sort of thing, especially because, again, this was right around the time that this Hail to Disney was happening and everything else. So they wanted to keep things as family friendly as possible. And again, I think the movie suffers for it because there isn't really a character arc of much for Tony in this movie. He has the moments with the ghost of his dad, more or less. I see what they're trying to do with that, and it doesn't really land as an emotional beat. Like you want it to, and later on, I think the MCU does a better job of showing what Tony's relationship is with his dad and how much that impacts and drives him, but it doesn't really land here.
No, I would agree with that.
But you can squint and you can kind of see what they're trying to do. Again, the movie's just kind of a mess. But the cast is fantastic.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
That's one of the reasons that it does work. So we have the introduction. We mentioned Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, although they never call her that in this movie.
No, but I did know that. I knew that's who she was.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to escape. I think Scarlett Johansson is magnetic. She flexes her star charisma in this. And when she's in frame, part of Black Widow's appeal is she's supposed to be a seductive agent. And I think they do mostly a good job of portraying how she is magnetic and how she can get people to be disarmed through her charm and her looks. And yeah, there's just scenes when the way that she's framed, you can just feel that's why she's a star.
Was she a star when she filmed this movie?
She was.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe.
I'm not sure
this
what
was well
made her
after
famous.
Lost in Translation, Girl with a Pearl Earring, In Good Company, Match Point, The Island, The Prestige. So yeah, she had done a lot before making her way into the MCU. So she was a known star.
Okay. The early to mid 2000s all blend together for me. So I don't know when anything happened.
That's fair. We talked about Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. He's basically
Sammy Rocks.
Sammy Rocks. Any movie where Sam Rockwell dances is at least a little redeemable.
I guess. I mean, he was very nerdy but sinister.
He made me think of if Nick Miller from New Girl were a little bit evil and kind of had his shit together and became a weapons contractor.
Yeah, I could see that. That's not off base.
We have Mickey Rourke as Ivan Whiplash Vanko.
Okay, Whiplash.
They never really refer
not
to
a
him.
thing, but
Yeah.
he does have electrified whips.
Yeah, well, there are several iterations of a character called Whiplash, who is an old Iron Man rival. The character in this movie almost has nothing to do with any of that. In fact, they even kind of retconned and made an Anton Vanko in the comics version of Whiplash, but that was more or less made as a reaction to make the comics more aligned with the MCU. There were a bunch of other people who had the moniker Whiplash, and essentially they were like, Iron Man rivals who had electric whips.
Okay. Those were scary.
The electric whips?
Yeah.
The sound effect. The sound effect scared our cat.
Yes. Oh, she was terrified. Tony's like rolling out of the way of those whips at one point, and I'm like, you would not have been able to avoid them. That's not how it works.
Did you recognize Mickey Rourke?
I did. I mean, at first I was like, is that Mickey Rourke? Okay, so my notes say Russia ? Mickey Rourke ? And then the credits started, and I was like, oh, okay, I was right. It was Mickey Rourke.
The movie also introduces Gary Shandling as Senator Stern.
Oh, I don't know who Gary Shandling is.
You don't know who Gary Shandling is? Oh, he was he was a very famous comedian, very dry comedian. He starred on the Larry Sanders Show for a long time on HBO, which was sort of very early prototypical showbiz fourth wall breaking humor. So he was basically a fake talk show host who had real guests playing themselves, but this was in the 90s. Oh yeah, he had that movie What Planet Are You From, where he played an alien. He was around a lot. He was very well known in the 90s, and one of those he was one of those comics, so somebody who was not like super mainstream, not like a Jerry Seinfeld, but like better and more respected than like Jerry Seinfeld, but not as successful, that kind of.
I was very young in the 90s. I was watching the Disney Channel.
Right. John Slattery as Howard Stark, Tony's father.
I was very excited to see him. Good old Roger Sterling.
Yeah. And Kate Mara as Process Server.
Yeah. This must have been a very early role for her.
Yeah. Kate and Rooney look so similar. I don't know which is which half the time.
Oh, I can tell the difference between them.
Also, just a boatload of cameos. We've got journalists Christian Amanpour and Bill O'Reilly playing themselves. Elon Musk and Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, for reasons.
I was very mad that you didn't warn me that I was going to have to look at Elon Musk.
Sorry. It was a younger Elon Musk. You could tell because his hair plugs hadn't fully taken.
And his face didn't look like it was melting off of him, but it was still unpleasant.
And then the future Mrs. John Mulaney, Olivia Munn as Chess Roberts. This would also be Jon Favreau's last venture directing in the MCU.
Oh, wow.
Favreau did stick around and had producer credit on several other movies, including The Avengers, and helped out in the MCU. But this was his last directing job.
Okay, I was going to ask
Marvel.
If I could know what movie was next. Is it The Avengers?
No.
Okay. Can I know?
Sure. Yeah, we'll get to it. But the next movie is Thor, which was teased in the post-credits scene.
I did not get that post-credits scene. I did not realize what I was looking at.
At the hammer?
Mm-hmm. I'm like, what is it?
It's Thor's hammer. It's Mjolnir.
Coulson. Right? That's his name.
Yeah.
He says, I found it. And I was like, he found what? That went over my head.
So yeah, Jon Favreau. This was Jon Favreau's last stint as a superhero director. He does stick around to play Happy in future installments in the MCU, but this is his last go as a director. He went to go play with CGI lions and cast himself making delicious grilled cheese sandwiches while the most beautiful women in the world throw themselves at him. So that's what he's been up to. Chef.
Oh, okay.
He cast himself in a movie where Scarlett Johansson and Sofia Vergara are his romantic interests, and it's a little ridiculous.
All right, well, yeah. But if I were him, I would do the same thing.
Right. But you thought it wasn't bad.
No, I thought it was an okay watch, an entertaining watch.
Yeah, it's fine. It is. I would say if you're being generous, it's a C-. It just barely passes, maybe. It is definitely, I think, the lowest point of what they would call phase one for the Marvel movies, which is everything that leads up to... Well, no, I would say The Incredible Hulk is probably the lowest point. So I always forget that The Incredible Hulk exists, to be perfectly honest. So aside, it's ranked just barely above The Incredible Hulk because The Incredible Hulk is just a slog. This movie at least has entertaining moments. It's just too long and too ADHD scattered around.
It was long. I will say, I think that perhaps I'm a bit biased in favor of the movie because I think there were things that I noticed that were a little disjointed, but at the same time, some things may have been confusing and I would not have necessarily realized it because I don't know this world. So a lot of stuff doesn't make sense to me. And so maybe that helps to sort of like smooth over the rougher edges of the story being all over the place, because I'm like, maybe this is just my lack of familiarity with this universe.
I mean, you're coming along with it. If you're coming from it, that so is everyone else.
Well,
this is only the third movie in this universe.
Yeah, but
so it should be.
But the comics existed. So some of this stuff people could have known from the comics.
I think you are being overly generous there, because the movie should be self-explanatory and it should be.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. I'm just saying that might be why I'm like, okay, some stuff didn't make sense, but some other stuff that may have made sense to you still didn't to me. So, okay.
Nah, it just didn't make sense.
I think it's definitely true that the cast is great and charismatic. And there's also chemistry, because thinking back to The Incredible Hulk, I was really struck by how little chemistry I felt between Edward Norton and Liv Tyler.
Right.
And so that, I think, contributed to that movie feeling just like you called it a slog. Whereas this, I feel like the characters do have chemistry between each other.
Yeah. You know, we talked before in our Iron Man episode where you were not a fan of the chemistry between Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts and Robert Downey Jr. I like it. I really like their chemistry, their easy chemistry.
I'm gonna disagree with that, because I didn't say that I didn't like their chemistry. I just felt like it was platonic. I thought that they had great platonic best friends, sort of almost like siblings chemistry. I did not get romantic chemistry between them. I still didn't really, but I think that they definitely have it. It's just I'm interpreting it differently than presumably a lot of people.
Well, the movie does finally commit to the romantic angle for this. They don't go with the will they, won't they anymore, and they will they.
Yes.
So they will they. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the recap. The movie opens up with the press conference from the end of the first Iron Man with a sick Anton Vanko and his son Ivan, played by Mickey Rourke, watching in Russia.
Russia? Question mark?
Russia? Question mark. Then the very long opening credits where things are happening.
Yes.
You see newspaper clippings and background
Blueprints.
Information and blueprints and building things.
Mickey Rourke is building something.
Not very many movies in the MCU have the opening credits actually in the opening. A lot of them are at the end. I can appreciate it when it is done well sometimes, but this, again, the editing and the pacing of this movie are just so off. That scene is supposed to be kind of expositional. I don't think it really works. I mean, I don't know how much information you gleaned from any of it.
No, I think I was understanding what was happening. I will say that I missed the father's name at first. So I was like, I saw the blueprints.
The blueprints.
I saw the blueprints with Russian name and Howard Stark. And I was like, okay, so this guy is Russian and that guy just died. Some Russian guy did this with Howard Stark. So now he's anti-Tony. And I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. I mean,
So I
and a
got
lot
that.
of it, but it was also very like redundant. You learn all of that throughout the rest of the movie.
That's
so
true.
The pacing is just such a slog for this movie. It's a 2-hour movie and it feels like a 2.5 hour movie.
It did feel very long, because at one point I asked you how much time is left, and I had looked up the runtime before we started. So I knew it was
2 hours-ish.
2 hours and 8 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And so I said, how much time is left? Thinking like, this might be almost over.
There was still an hour
There was
left.
an hour left. We were only halfway through.
So after the riveting sequence with all of the things happening over the opening credits, then 6 months later, Iron Man drops into the Stark Expo set to AC/DC. This is another indication of how messy the production was and how rough the editing was, because in all of the previews, there was actually a really cute scene with Pepper in the jet. So Pepper's in the plane with Tony, and they have a little bit of banter, and I can't remember how much of the banter was in at least one of the trailers. And then she has his helmet. She kisses the helmet and she tosses it out the plane. So then he has to go fly after and retrieve the helmet. So the scene that's in the movie just starts with him in the plane by himself, and he jumps out, and then it's just him flying through New York.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so originally him flying down to get his helmet would have been a lot more fun and given a little bit more dynamism. I don't know why they cut it, because it seemed like it was almost a finished special effect and everything. So I really don't know why they cut that. If that was something like, yeah, we're looking for places to shave some time off this movie, they could have cut so many other things.
That does sound cute.
It also would have given them more romantic chemistry, because it does feel like the romantic part of it came in almost unexpectedly near the end. It didn't really, they did have that will they, won't they sort of flirty energy, but it really didn't lean into the will they until the end of the movie. And having a little bit more flirty energy probably would have worked more for their relationship. So I don't know why they cut it, but it's so strange that it was in most of the previews and then it just wasn't there in the movie.
And what was there is, at first I was wondering, oh, is he doing something heroic because he's in the suit, but then he's just landing on a stage to perform.
Landing on the stage at the Stark Expo, which is a year-long science showcase and fair that was originally started by Tony's dad.
It's a year long?
It's a year long. He mentions that it takes place over the course of a year. So it's something like it's ongoing. They'll have like different presentations as people do it, and the contest to, I guess, win the Stark Expo prize.
That's excessive. A year?
It is heavily inspired by the World's Fair. I have no idea how long the actual World's Fair was, but it wasn't.
It wasn't a year.
It was an idea that Howard Stark had started, and Tony dusted it off for reasons
Daddy
unclear.
issues?
Yeah, he does have daddy issues. I don't think the movie does a good job of getting into that, but that is something. Tony's relationship with his parents and all of that becomes a major part of his character. And again, if you squint, you can kind of see that they wanted to get into that with this movie, but just the mess of it all, they didn't really get into it. Howard is portrayed in film footage by John Slattery. He's fantastic in Mad Men. He's great. He plays Howard Stark like a cross between Walt Disney and Howard Hughes, which is, I think, a good distillation of the character, who was mostly based on Howard Hughes. So that kicks off the Stark Expo after Tony's introduction. There's the brief Stan Lee cameo as Larry King.
Yep.
He just briefly shows up to go, huh? And he's dressed as Larry King.
And it was in the first movie that he was Hugh Hefner.
Correct.
Okay, that's fun.
And then that's when Kate Mara shows up as a marshal. She's credited as process server, but she's actually a U.S. Marshal, and she is...
Oh, what a disservice.
serving Tony Stark a subpoena to appear in front of Congress.
Yes.
Tony doesn't want to be handed anything in this movie. It's kind of a running gag that Tony doesn't want to be handed anything in this movie. I don't think they do anything with that through the rest of the MCU.
Sure.
I think there might be like one throwaway bit in the Avengers where he doesn't get handed a thing.
What a strange small detail to include for no reason. Okay.
It cuts to Tony Stark's testimony in front of Congress, Gary Shandling as the oppositional Senator Stern.
Yes.
From Pennsylvania.
From Pennsylvania. I was disappointed in that because he was a piece of work.
Well, you know, Pennsylvania senators and disappointing is, it happens. Stern wants the Iron Man suit turned over to the U.S. government because he doesn't trust Iron Man to continue being Iron Man, even though Tony Stark claims that he has, as he says, successfully privatized world peace. Senator Stern doesn't trust him and wants that control in the domain of the U.S. government. This leads to the introduction of Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, who is also testifying in front of Congress, but just being kind of a doofus about it. And then Rhodey shows up in Don Cheadle form now.
Yes, I was much happier to see him than I was to see Terrence Howard.
The line, "It's me, I'm here, deal with it," is probably the best recasting line I think ever.
Funny.
And it has become a little bit of a meme. After Rhodey's testimony, which is not great for Tony, Tony does hijack the monitors and shows that no one can really compete with the Iron Man armor, at least, as far as we know.
He didn't have any footage in Russia.
That footage of all of the mech suits failing, it reminds me there's a scene in RoboCop 2 where they're trying to reproduce the RoboCop experiment, and I assume you've not seen it.
No, I haven't seen RoboCop.
Right. Well, they're trying to reproduce a cyborg who can do cop things, but like all of the experiments are like horrible. And in RoboCop 2, it's like gruesome because it's R-rated. And one of them in particular is as soon as they activate him, he just immediately pulls his gun out and shoots himself in the head. So it's a very dark humor kind of scene. This scene in Iron Man 2, it's like a PG-13. It's definitely pulls some inspiration, especially the scene where the Hammer pilot tries to turn to the left and presumably breaks his spine or something.
Ugh. Yeah, so that is the last piece of footage is Sam Rockwell overseeing his pilot, I guess, in their version of the suit, which also fails spectacularly.
So Tony returns home after testifying to his mansion in Malibu. We have the return of Paul Bettany as Jarvis, his AI assistant. Turns out that Tony has a toxic thing in his chest. The arc reactor that powers his suits and keeps the electromagnet going, that is keeping the shrapnel out of his chest, has palladium in it, and he is getting palladium toxicity.
Yeah, that's not clear at first. I didn't understand what was wrong. I mean, I knew that something was toxic in his body. He's checking his toxicity levels with a sensor, and he does have a conversation with Jarvis about the failed mechanism, but I didn't understand why it was failing or what exactly was happening until later. And then it still didn't mean anything to me because I don't know anything about palladium.
Right. Well, Pepper shows up and is mad at him for a lot of reckless behavior. He's been donating things and not paying attention to company stuff that he should have been. Tony lets her just go after him for a little while. And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to make you CEO. He surprises her with it.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun scene, especially because when it looks like Tony is being impulsive and then it turns out that he's actually put a lot of thought into it and she actually does deserve it. And he's like looked into it and looked at legal issues and everything like that. And then he even has Dummy show up with champagne.
Yeah, it is fun. I like that when they're having the conversation that leads to him making her CEO, he says, you should be running this company. And she says, I am running this company. So she doesn't have the title yet, but she is the one who's running everything.
To sign over the company while Tony and Happy are doing some fighting training, Pepper brings in Natalie Rushman from legal, which is, I'm just going to call her Natasha from now on because that's her actual name. So, which is actually Natasha Romanoff, the SHIELD spy, also known as the Black Widow. Natasha comes in to notarize the documents and do the whole succession thing. Emily Blunt was almost cast as Black Widow.
Wow.
She, I believe she actually had the part, but then there were scheduling conflicts with Gulliver's Travels of all movies.
Emily.
I think Scarlett Johansson probably is better casting for Black Widow. And now at this point, she's played the character for, almost 2 decades. So it's hard to imagine anyone else as the character, but it's fun to imagine an alternate universe where Emily Blunt is the character instead.
I do love Emily Blunt.
While they are signing the legal documents, Natasha gets in the ring with Happy, and there's the fun moment where Happy's trying to teach her a boxing lesson and she just completely bodies him. Pepper's reaction is hilarious. Pepper screams and has a wholly appropriate reaction to to Natalie, to Natasha totally bodying Happy, which is, it's fun.
Yeah.
I think the goop of it all and Gwyneth Paltrow being just an odd duck of a person is weird, but she's a good actress, you know? I think she's good in these movies. I like the character of Pepper, and I think Gwyneth Paltrow plays her well.
I haven't seen a ton of her other work, but I do like her in these movies that I've seen.
So then Tony, Natasha, and Pepper fly off to Monaco for the Grand Prix de Monaco, an F1 race. And Tony meets up, sees Justin Hammer there, along with Christine Everhart, returning from the first movie.
Yep. There's a moment there that I did not like where they're talking. Mm-hmm. And I believe both Tony and Pepper make some double entendre comments about Christine, seemingly in reference to the fact that she slept with Tony in the first movie. And I'm like, that is so unprofessional. She's allowed to do that. Well, and now she's doing her job.
It was unprofessional because she slept with Tony to get a scoop.
I don't think that's clear enough. I don't think that's clear enough.
I think you could say that she slept with Tony under false pretenses, and I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but yeah, they are a little slut-shamey.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's aged terribly well. Tony also blows off Elon Musk, which is, if he's going to be in the movie, at least it's nice that Tony basically treats him like a nerd.
He was correct to do that.
Tony, with his palladium poisoning and his newfound death wish, goes down to the racetrack and kicks out the driver, who is understandably pissed off about it, and decides that he's going to race in this F1 race.
I think it's hilarious when they see him, Pepper and Natasha, and I guess also Hammer, see him on the TV. And I guess I didn't understand the timing, but because it cuts from this party scene to them just seeing him on the TV, I felt like he just left the party and went to be in the Grand Prix.
While Tony is racing, then Ivan Vanko shows up with his whiplash suit apparatus.
It was really unclear.
It's not really a suit exactly. It's basically just, he's half naked. He's just wearing pants and this sort of chest thing that doesn't really offer him any armor. It shows off Mickey Rourke's boxing physique, and he's got this big energy whips that are powered by an arc reactor. And
what was the boxing movie that he was in?
It was The Wrestler. So it was The Wrestler. Okay. Yeah.
So I had understood the opening credit scene where we see him working on something, and I got that there was some kind of a beef with the Starks. So when he showed up there, I got that. I understood why that was the case, but I don't really know exactly what I guess he was just trying to kill Tony, but that seems weird I don't know. It was weird. I'm like, this is not the best plan in the world. And he chops a car in pieces with his electrified whip. And
Several cars.
Several cars. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, so what do those people do to you?
Nothing, really.
Not cool, Ivan.
For what it's worth, F1 cars are designed, like those little safety boxes are designed to keep people safe.
Yeah,
in the
they're
event
designed to protect them from crashes, not from electrified whips. I don't know if the technology is there.
So while he is slicing up the cars and going after Tony, Happy and Pepper charge into the track. Happy is totally a boss, just runs right into Whiplash.
It seemed unintentional, though. He said I was just trying to scare him.
But also, that should have been the end of it, because he's just wearing pants. Like, he doesn't have any special armor or anything. So getting hit by a Bentley at 60-something miles, multiple times into that fence, that should have been the end of it.
The second time was at a slower speed, to be fair, but I don't know how much of a difference that would make.
When he's cutting up the car, Pepper is screaming. And again, I feel like she might be the only person in this movie, in any of these movies, who is reacting appropriately to the chaos of what's going on.
That's fair.
So they toss Tony the Iron Man briefcase that has his portable Iron Man suit in it.
Did we see that in the first movie?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but that was really cool.
Yeah,
I liked that.
It is very cool. One of the things that is really fun to see in the MCU is the evolution of Tony's suits and how they get more advanced and more portable as they go on. So this is the first time we actually see, because the other suits, the Mark II and III, they have to be applied. He has to walk onto an apparatus that puts the suit on to him. All of the robot arms and everything have to suit him up. And this is a portable version of the suit that he's able to suit up. And it's clear that this suit is not as powerful as the other, the primary suits.
Well, I really liked the briefcase.
It was cool. It was also very nice of Vanko to just chill out and stop whipping things while that was happening.
Yeah.
So we could watch the cool special effects shot.
Thanks, Vanko.
The whiplash fight, again, is just emblematic of this movie. I think there are some good action sequences in the movie. This one is just boring. They are finally go to fight, and Tony basically just beats him by grabbing the whips and then punching him. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the fight. And it doesn't, I don't know. It's like, all right, yay.
And then Vanko is taunting him. I'm realizing now I don't remember exactly what he says.
Yeah, he says, you lose.
Yeah.
You lose. And his really good Russian accent.
Yeah, I actually wasn't sure how good his accent was. He doesn't talk that much in the movie. So I was like, this isn't, I don't know.
It's not, I mean, I would say it's not bad. I wonder how good his Russian is, because he does speak Russian at a few points in the movie. And I wonder how well Mickey Rourke speaks Russian. The accent's a little stereotypical, but it's not, I don't think it's bad.
It didn't. I just wasn't sure. But I think that's probably a mark in its favor that I wasn't like, oh, that's terrible. But when he is taunting Tony is, I think, unsure of what he means. I don't know. He's still in the suit. And I thought the suit face looked pouty.
It does look a little pouty, doesn't it? It's got resting Iron Man face.
Yeah.
Vanko is arrested. Tony goes to talk to him in jail. This is when we learn about Vanko's father's involvement in the original arc reactor and Vanko's bitterness about it. That, again, is another element that it just felt like maybe it's just a little bit too much plot.
Yeah.
Vanko tells him, if you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him, and there will be blood and sharks in the water. And it's like, dude, watch your metaphors, man. That's just, there's too many metaphors there. He really, he let the metaphors get away from him. He's this big ripped dude, but he's also supposed to be like a genius science guy. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently, Mickey Rourke was attracted to the project because they wanted to make him a complex character, but studio interference and the mess of the movie, Mickey Rourke said there was a lot of good character stuff that ended up on the cutting floor, and that made his character seem a lot more one-dimensional. And so he really wasn't happy about that.
Oh, no, I think he was complex. I mean, he's a physicist. He's jacked. He has a bird.
A bird. Tony and Pepper fly back. Tony makes her an omelet and is going to tell her about the palladium poisoning, but doesn't really get to it because she's exasperated. I still do like their chemistry in this scene again.
I agree that they have chemistry. I just think they feel like best friends.
We then get Vanko's escape from prison. When the doppelganger comes in and Vanko notices they have the same suit number, I thought that was a nice touch. It wasn't overly expository. It didn't play too dumb for the audience. So
no,
I
agree with that. I liked it.
Vanko is, for a science nerd, super good at fighting because he takes out a bunch of guards on his way out. The escape, it turns out, was funded by Justin Hammer. So he goes to meet Justin Hammer for the first time in a rather silly scene in an airplane hangar. It's just an odd scene. You've got Mickey Rourke trying to be a serious actor and a very deep character, and then you've got Sam Rockwell just hamming it up in a fun way, but it doesn't work
together.
It really doesn't. It's like, I don't know, peanut butter and bubble gum. It's not. Yeah, it doesn't really work in the way that the movie wants it to work. So it's just weird. They're just weird co-villains in this movie. I still do think that Sam Rockwell is so much fun to watch, and he's a great charismatic character. It's a bunch of individual elements that kind of work on their own, and it doesn't really fit together.
So he wants Vanko to help them with their suit development.
Correct, because he saw that Vanko can build an arc reactor actor and can do things. So he wants them to help compete and make their own Iron Man suits for Hammer Industries. But Vanko says, "Drone better."
Yes. Sam Rockwell pays homage to Jeff Bridges in this scene. As we may recall, Jeff Bridges said manufacturing, and Sam Rockwell says fabulous.
So Tony and Natasha are getting ready for Tony's big birthday bash.
I think ScarJo is wearing a leopard print dress, which I really liked because I love me some leopard print.
The birthday party scene is about as close as the MCU ever really got to flirting with Tony's alcoholism, because he does get trashed and makes an ass of himself at the birthday party. But that's really it. It doesn't really come up again.
Though the guests don't seem to think he's making an ass of himself. They're
Right.
very excited about him shooting glasses out of the air and a watermelon. And also, when that is happening, I'm like, that's really unsafe because that glass is raining down on everybody. And they're
Right.
like, woo!
Yeah.
Like, you're getting cut. This is not cool.
He's blasting watermelons and champagne in front of everybody and using a high-tech suit that is capable of taking out entire terrorist platoons.
I mean, it was dangerous for him to be doing that because it could have killed someone, the actual Iron Man suit. But even what he was doing was like, this is still not great for the people who are under these exploding objects.
Right.
I also was really worried when that drunk woman was going to throw a watermelon up in the air because watermelons are heavy. I'm like, that thing's going to fall on her head.
Rhodey shows up to the party. He has sworn to his superiors that Iron Man will be back on watch. He sees Tony making an ass out of himself, so he goes down and grabs another suit, the silver one. And now Rhodey has his suit.
Yeah.
They don't name him in this movie, but famously, Rhodey's primary moniker is War Machine as the character in the comics.
Well, that's better than what I called him, which was Chrome Man.
Because Tony is Iron Man.
Yeah.
And the suit is silver.
Yeah.
Chrome Man. No, his suit name is War Machine. And I think they did a good job. War Machine does have the giant chain gun and looks like a big old, like an Iron Man suit, but with the big guns on it. And especially the big chain gun on the shoulder. That's a distinct War Machine thing. So I think they did a good job capturing the way that his character looks from the comics. But Rhodey gets the suit. They have their big brawl throughout Tony's mansion, just wrecking the mansion.
They destroy that house, which was really stressing me out.
I think Tony's Malibu mansion gets just wrecked in every single Iron Man movie. Spoilers for Iron Man 3.
I mean, I know he can afford to replace anything that gets broken.
And it's a nice mansion.
It's a really nice mansion. And also, who is cleaning that up? Because it's not Tony.
Well, it's Dummy.
Oh, poor Dummy.
And work crews.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You know, they're
it's
well
not very
paid.
fair.
They're well paid.
Okay.
Also, those suits have to have some kind of inertial dampeners because they would just be jelly after all of the hits and concrete that they're slamming into. Yeah, no human would be able to survive the physics of that. So,
Yes, I said that in the first movie as well. When Tony crashes into the earth, I'm like, no, unrealistic. This fight culminates in them directing what is this?
Their energy beams. They Harry Potter blast each other.
Exactly. I was like, Harry and Voldemort much?
Rhodey flies off with the suit. Then it flashes to Tony sitting in the giant donut. At that iconic donut shop in Los Angeles. And that's when we get Nick Fury showing up in the movie. Samuel L. Jackson in his first real scene that isn't like a cameo.
Right. And he says, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut. Which I really liked.
It's a fun scene. It's an expository scene. It feels like the movie just has the weight of, the MCU is a thing now. And the scene, the movie in general suffers for it. But it is fun. Samuel L. Jackson is great, and he's in full-on Samuel L. Jackson mode, too. So, but it's really the first taste that MCU watchers get of Nick Fury, because the post-credit scene. So what did you think?
Well, I like Samuel L. Jackson.
And he's basically just being Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, no, I thought he was
in an eye
good.
patch.
Yeah. There's a joke in this scene where Tony's like, should I look at the eye patch or the eye? And I'm like, that joke is stupid, but I still laughed. What I was more interested in this scene, and I guess you're probably about to get to this, but I'm going to do it, is that Natasha shows up. And that is when we find out that she is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Yeah, wearing her iconic Black Widow costume.
Yeah, but it felt pretty anticlimactic. Now, I am wondering how people felt about this back when the movie first came out, because I did know that she was Black Widow.
Right.
I realize a bit, again, know very little about this franchise, but I have picked up some things from pop culture osmosis. So I knew that Scarlett Johansson was Black Widow. I knew what her real name was. And so when she first showed up earlier in the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. But she just kind of walks in and it just feels like it's very like, I don't know, it just happens very quickly. He's barely surprised, but it's kind of a big reveal, it seems like.
Yeah, I think the movie probably, they knew that she was going to be in the marketing and that it was a big deal because in all of the marketing, like TV spots and everything, the scene where she's going through the hallway, taking out all the bad dudes, and she's wearing the Black Widow outfit, that was featured very heavily. I think anybody who knew anything about the movie going into it knew that Scarlett Johansson was Black Widow.
Okay.
So
yeah.
The movie, they do kind of underplay that reveal.
I get that. No, for sure I get that. But at the same time, earlier in this conversation, you said that the movies should have been making things clear to people who were not familiar with the universe. So, you can't have it both ways.
They really do underplay it. And again, I'm not even 100% sure if they use her first name. You said that you knew it and you thought that
I'm pretty sure that they say it once.
Yeah, you just barely learned that her name is not even Natalie Rushman.
Mm-hmm.
They refer to her more as Natalie Rushman in this movie than Natasha Romanoff. Yeah, that's just something else that just doesn't quite land and doesn't quite work. And then another scene that doesn't quite work where Justin Hammer brings Vanko, who is at work on the drones, the bird, and this is not my bird. And there's the extended riff.
So long.
This is
your
not my
bird. This is your bird.
No, this is not my bird.
And I was like, people know their pets, Sam Rockwell. It's not his bird.
Okay, well, maybe it's not your bird. It's a lovely bird.
Yeah.
Came all the way from Russia. I don't understand. This scene has nothing to do.
It has nothing to do with anything. I feel like, you know what I think is weird about this now that we're talking about it is that Sam Rockwell is treating Vanko like he is stupid, which I wonder if that's because he doesn't speak English. And I'm like, he is a physicist. What kind of nuclear physicist?
I don't know.
They
He's
specify,
a smart guy.
And I'm like, he knows that is not his bird. And you're like, no, I came all the way from Russia. I'm like, he's not stupid. That's very strange.
Hammer is not a very bright character, which does make you wonder how he became the CEO. Like, is he also a legacy? I don't know. It's not really clear. The movie's not terribly interested in it either.
Is this also the scene where they talk about the helmets?
Yes.
Okay.
The extended scene. Where
that's also extended. Where does that look like a head could fit in it to you? No,
Yeah.
what about from this way? And I'm like, no, a head can't go in it. It's a drone. He already said that.
Drone better. Then we get the return of Agent Coulson. Coulson shows up, played by Clark Gregg. Agent Coulson is one of the few characters that originated in the MCU, but was popular enough that they actually brought the character into the comics.
Good
So
for him.
he was an MCU original character, and they went ahead and brought in the character with Clark Gregg's likeness into the mainstream comics.
Yeah, he deserves that because if the character was that popular, you would have to attribute that to his performance.
He's a fun character. Then we have the weapon scene where Hammer shows up. Rhodey is smart. I like that Rhodey is smart enough to go ahead and hide the arc reactor from Hammer because that's the most sensitive piece of technology. Hammer shows up and goes through all of the guns. This is a scene that is, I think, fun. And I think I'm glad that they didn't cut that because it's silly, but it is funny and it's good characterization for everyone, for everyone involved. So I like this scene. It's a lot of fun. You grimaced at the ex-wife joke.
Yeah, I thought that was uncalled for. I rolled my cries at the ex-wife joke. Because what does he say? He says something like, this one will destroy everything and reduce it to rubble. I call it the ex-wife. I'm like, shut up.
Tony gets a box of stuff from S.H.I.E.L.D. He learns that his father was actually a co-founder of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was a revelation to Tony, although it seems like later on the movies might mess with that continuity a little bit.
Spoiler.
Tony probably knew a little bit more about that.
Oh, okay.
In this movie anyway, it seems like that's a shock to Tony that he didn't know that Howard was a co-founder of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the box of stuff is a film reel with outtakes from Stark Expo film footage, and then a message from Howard Stark to Tony.
Yes. Well, first, there is footage of Howard practicing his speech that he is going to give to welcome people to the expo, which we see in the beginning. And we see a young Tony come in the background and start playing with the model of the expo grounds, I guess. And Howard yells at him, and present adult Tony is sad about it. And I was like, Howard, be nice to your kid or he'll drive his future wife to suicide by forcing her to be an opera singer.
Iron Man. That's his final words instead of Rosebud.
Yes, perfect. But then we see Howard giving a speech directly to Tony saying, you know, you're too young to understand this now, but you're going to do great things and you're the greatest creation. And Tony's like, oh, my dad loved me.
Yeah. Again, you can see what they were going for. I don't think it lands very well.
No.
And, you know.
But it is John Slattery. So I can't be sad that we got to see him.
Stark is supposed to be locked down and not be able to leave. He leaves with basically no effort and goes buy some strawberries from a roadside vendor. Those strawberries looked amazingly delicious. I really want strawberries. And at the time we're recording this right now, it is not strawberry season.
Yeah.
So I am very upset about that.
I'm so sorry.
Tony goes to talk to Pepper, who is justifiably angry with him. He tries to make it up to her by giving her strawberries, and it turns out that's the one thing that she's allergic to.
And he's like, well, this is progress because I knew there was a connection between you and strawberries. I'm like, that is not the explanation that you think it is.
The pacing in this movie is just so off.
Yeah.
All of these scenes work in a vacuum and they just don't fit together very well.
She storms out and then he throws the strawberries near the trash,
Right.
not in the trash. They're all over the floor.
They are all over the floor and they look so delicious. It's like, dude, eat the strawberries. Even if she can't have them, you should have them or give them to Happy or someone.
Right. So wasteful.
That does lead Tony to look at the model of the Stark Expo grounds, which he then disassembles and drives back in a pretty kind of humorous gag where he's driving it in his Audi convertible.
I really liked that shot of the boards in the convertible. They're so high. I thought that was funny.
He takes it back to his mansion, has Jarvis scan it, and then does a lot of sciencey things, and then discovers that it's apparently a new element. I guess I don't know what we're calling it. Starkium. I don't know. I don't know if they ever actually do name it. I guess that they wanted to show that creating a new element is hard and difficult. And again, this is a thing that Tony needs to do. We're trying to give Tony an obstacle to overcome. We're trying to give him a bond with his father and a legacy thing where his father started something and said that only Tony could finish this job. It doesn't work and it slows down the movie so much. It really just grinds any momentum that the movie had to a halt. The scene is also funny because right as Tony's about to have his big climactic moment, Agent Coulson shows back up basically to just say, bye, I'm going to go be in the movie Thor now.
Okay. So I did love this moment because Tony says, what do you want? And Coulson says, nothing. Goodbye. I was like, oh, so dramatic.
His deadpanning. Clark Gregg's deadpanning as the character is really fantastic. But yeah, he's just there. He shows up at one point in the movie and they're like, hey, remember Coulson? And then he shows up again and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go be in Thor now. And that's it. That's all he is in this movie. And they didn't even leave any other guards there. They're supposed to, but he's supposed to be unlocked.
He showed up and he was like, I saw the perimeter was breached. watched, that Tony left. And he's like, that happened so long ago. Where have you been? Like, I guess I don't care that much. But the new element is what's going to allow him to fix the arc reactor.
So he's not going to get palladium poisoning anymore. And that's basically it. So yes, he creates a big old particle accelerator in his home, which does he not have a lab at the factory or something that he can use? He just wrecks his mansion to do this. I guess, I don't know.
He already wrecked his mansion fighting with Rhodey.
He wrecks it more.
Yeah,
it's a good thing
who
that there's
cares?
like nice beach weather. So that finally then leads to Hammer Industries' spot at the Stark Expo. And then we fully go into the third act and the final action set piece. I think at this point, the movie is better.
Okay.
Like everything, once the action kind of kicks in and the movie remembers, oh yeah, this is a superhero movie. We need to have our superheroes do superhero shit. Then it gets a lot better, I think.
Well, at this point, the movie makes it very clear that Sam Rockwell is stupid because there is a scene where he is talking to Vanko and he is not understanding things that are not that hard to understand.
Right.
What does Vanko say exactly about the salute?
He says, I can give presentation, not demonstration.
But first he says something. I guess Sam Rockwell is like, what can it do? And he's like, give salute. And Sam Rockwell is like, what does that mean? Give salute. I'm like, it can give a salute. That's all it can do. And then he says, I can do presentation, not demonstration. And Sam Rockwell does not understand the difference between those. And I'm like, that also seems clear to me. Like, you can see them, but they can't do anything yet. You're the CEO of a weapons company.
Right.
I do not like how dumb you are. That seems dangerous for all of us.
I like the scene where they are introducing the drones. They all come up.
Wait. Because there's more in the scene before we get to the actual expo.
Okay.
Because there is animal abuse. And there have been so many movies that we have watched for this podcast where some innocent animal gets harmed unnecessarily to serve the plot. I do not like it. They put the bird in the bag. The bird is terrified. And also, when they put the bird in the bag, because Vanko has been bonding with the bird, he's in his room, I guess, with the bird. And so they come in and they're like, you're not doing what we want you to do. So to punish you, we're going to take this bird away. We're going to throw it in a bag. And I'm like, first of all, the bird did nothing wrong. So maybe let's be a little nicer to the bird.
Take his shoes.
Yeah, take his shoes.
I took your stuff. How's that make you feel?
But he also says when Mickey Rourke objects to the bird being thrown into a bag, Sam Rockwell is like, first it wasn't your bird. Now it's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so if it's not his bird, he should not care that you are like
putting a bird in a bag.
You're abusing this animal. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I would object to seeing an animal being harmed, even if it's not my animal.
Well, there is a happy ending because the last we see, the guards are holding the bird in the bag. And then the next shot that we see of Vanko, the guards are hanging from the ceiling and the bird is fine.
Sam Rockwell is like, I'm leaving these guards with you. And I was like, I would not mess with Vanko if I were you. And then when it cuts to the guards hanging, I'm like, I was right.
And the bird's just
fine.
happy.
Yeah, the bird, Mickey Rourke and the bird are back to being besties, and there are two guards hanged from the ceiling. I'm like, that's about what I expected to happen.
Vanko calls Tony to taunt him and say that he's going to destroy Tony's legacy. Tony puts two and two together and realizes that it's probably going to happen at the Hammer Industries demo at the Stark Expo tonight. So you have Justin Hammer coming out dancing.
Yeah.
And
looking like a fool. I mean, it was fun to watch because you said any movie where Sam Rockwell dances. I don't disagree with that. It was funny, but I'm like, oh, you are not a cool dude.
He introduces the drones. I do like the drone design. They all had unique variants that clearly had a purpose for each branch of the military. And it's a fun scene where they're introducing them and they have the themes for each branch playing.
What's the specific design element for the Navy?
For the Navy, they were they had the big missile launchers.
Oh, okay. I thought those looked like water wings. Which also felt appropriate for the Navy.
Right. Then War Machine comes up with his revamped black and silver suit and all of the cool guns and the big iconic shoulder cannon. Tony flies up, says that stuff's about to go down, and then that's when Vanko activates the drones. Turns out they actually can do things. And he's also completely hacked Rhodey's suit and taken over the software of it and turned Rhodey into an armed drone.
Yeah.
as well.
That's not very nice.
The Hammer drones start causing chaos and shooting up the Stark Expo and really going after Tony.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of glass breaking in the scene. I feel like the movie relied really heavily on breaking glass to convey action and excitement.
It did. I do think this is a well-staged action scene, though. For the most part, you can tell what's going on. You have a lot of robots for Iron Man to shoot, and they do have the cool kind of distinctive designs. So it's a well-staged action scene, I think.
I don't necessarily disagree, but action is not really my genre, and I do find it hard to tell what is going on a lot of times in big action scenes because there's just so much camera movement. And so my summary of this scene was action, action, action.
It is mostly just action, action, action for the rest of the movie, but it's an action movie.
There's a moment where, I don't know if we are getting to this, with the kid.
Yeah, the little kid with the Iron Man mask.
The drone locks onto it, I guess, because it's programmed to look for that mask.
To look for Iron Man.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't think this movie's going to kill a kid, but it was still pretty tense.
There is a fun fan theory. It's not 100% confirmed, but they did the math on Tom Holland's Spider-Man character and Spider-Man famously from New York, from Queens. So people thought that maybe the little kid in the mask might be a young Peter Parker.
Aww.
And I don't think Kevin Feige has 100% confirmed it, but he's like, oh, maybe.
That's fun.
So that could possibly be a young Spider-Man, maybe. There is some fun where Pepper demonstrates that she actually is a good executive, taking charge of things and being decisive and calling for Hammer's arrest, and also kind of taking over and getting Hammer's lackey to tell her what's going on and get her caught up with the drone situation. And Natasha comes in, blows her cover, and gets him to give the location of Vanko. So
yeah. So my question is, because we see her, I guess we don't see her before this scene, but when she is in, Black Widow mode, she's wearing her costume. So if she's in if she's in Natalie Rushman attire, and then the situation calls for her to be Natasha Romanoff, does she have to just quickly excuse herself to go change into the
she does change in the back of the Bentley.
She does change. That's
which is a bit of a ridiculous scene.
Yeah.
It's a bit silly. Happy is distracted by her changing in the back seat, and it's a little bit of an eye candy scene because you have Scarlett Johansson in a bra. I do think that scene's a little ridiculous, but she does change into from her cocktail dress into her Black Widow suit.
I mean, I guess it does make more sense for fighting, but what if she didn't have the time to change? Would she fight in a real dress? Maybe I'll find out later.
I think it's fair to say that Natasha Romanoff is capable of fighting in other outfits, but her Black Widow suit is the one that's geared up with all the gadgets, and she's more comfortable fighting in her shield suit.
Sure,
so,
fair enough.
Sure. I do like the scene. Again, it was heavily featured in the marketing, but the scene where they go in, Happy is trying to be chivalrous, and he's like, I'm not going to let a little woman go in here all by herself. And he just has the one big drawn out boxing match with the one guard while she takes out like 20 other dudes.
I was going to say, she has taken out dudes left and right. And then if we cut back to Happy, and I'm like, has he just been fighting this one guy the whole time?
It's a pretty funny gag.
Yeah,
I do like that.
funny.
And it works well. Happy does win his fight successfully, but then he looks over and he sees all of the other incapacitated guards. It's a well-staged, fun fight scene, but the one in particular where she walks by the guy and she just nonchalantly maces him, that one is like the dude was just standing there. Like it works well for the camera angle, but for the audience, it doesn't really make sense in context. But it's fun stage. It's a fun staged action scene, and Scarlett Johansson and her stunt doubles are all very good in that scene. We also get her signature leg takedown a few times.
Okay.
That's sort of
That's what she did to Happy earlier. Okay.
When she jumps up and wrestles somebody twice her size to the ground. Back at the expo, you have the drone chase. I do like the car alarm scene where Tony flies by, sets off a single car alarm, and then all the drones fly by and they set off a whole bunch of car alarms. That's a fun little gag. Tony takes out most of them, and then Natasha makes it into Vanko's room. Vanko is gone, but she's able to hack in and give Rhodey his suit back, even though Rhodey was about to shoot Tony in the face with all of his guns. She reboots the suit, and then they have a fun little moment getting ready for the big confrontation.
Are they in a park?
So it's like this big eco dome. It has a big.
So it's part of the grounds, the expo grounds.
Yeah, it's part of the expo grounds. It's apparently sponsored by Oracle. Oracle's product placement is all over the place in this movie. I don't know why people thought like, oh yeah, that's where our target customer is, who's going to decide to use Oracle stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be people watching Iron Man. Product placement money is product placement money.
But the setting was lovely. Mm-hmm. And in a few moments, we're going to have the drones falling out of the sky. And I'm like, but that little bridge is so cute. I know I should probably care more about this dangerous action, but look at that little bridge.
It was very nice of the drones to dramatically pose as they drop too. So then we can have the really fun superhero shot where Tony and Rhodey both have their masks close at the same time. Yeah. So big drone fight. It's fun seeing the suits really in action and also differentiating the suits. Where you've got Tony with his repulsor blasts and kind of high-tech stuff, and Rhodey is just a hail of bullets.
Yeah.
That's it. And you get the kind of the fun shots of him shooting up the drones and the grease, the oil splashing on the War Machine suit. So
excuse me, it's Chrome Man.
Then Tony ends it with his big laser slice, and you think that that's about it. But then Natasha says there's one more coming in, and it is Whiplash and his full big, he actually has a suit this time instead of just pants and whips.
Yep.
And he actually has a big old suit. This fight is super anticlimactic. They fight for just like a minute and a half. He whips around both of them, and then in some cute full circle bullshit, to quote Game Night, they end up defeating him by Harry Potter blasting each other. And that's basically it.
And then he gone.
He is incapacitated on the ground, and then he predators himself and all of his other drones, sets them all self-destruct timers. I will say, although Pepper has had the most reasonable reaction to everything in the movie, the one thing she does that is unreasonable is when the suit starts a very obvious
countdown.
It is 100% the thing that you see in movies that is like, oh, that's going to explode.
Yeah.
And she just kind of looks at it and squints.
Yeah.
So Tony races, grabs her, and flies her off in just in the nick of time before all of the big explosions.
Very heroic.
The drones are all taken care of, and the movie is basically over at this point. They fly up to the rooftop and finally have their romantic moment.
Yep.
Pepper threatens to resign as CEO. She says she's quitting. Tony does make the point that it is a very short reign as CEO. Minor spoilers. I don't know how much this matters. I don't think it sticks. I think the next time we see Pepper, it's kind of unclear if she's CEO still or not. But then the time after that, she is CEO again. So I don't know if it's she actually did quit and then came back as CEO, or the movies just aren't necessarily clear about it. But I don't like that she says she's quitting. Like the whole thing about it is like, she's like, it's too stressful or whatever. And it's like that none of that has to do with your job. That just has to do with the fact that your former, well, I guess he is still the chairman of the board. So like, he's still the chairman of the board, but like, that's just his superhero shenanigans.
He was causing chaos. That was what was stressful.
And he had a death wish and everything else. So none of that had anything to do with her job as CEO. So I don't like that she threatens to quit, or I guess does quit or whatever at the end of the movie. I don't think it lands, but again, the MCU doesn't really stick with it either way. So Rhodey's on the roof with them, says he's going to keep the suit, and he does. So then there's the final scene with Nick Fury where they talk about Natasha's assessment of Tony. She says that Tony Stark not recommended for the Avengers, but Iron Man is recommended for the Avengers Initiative. What's the Avengers Initiative? We don't know, but that's something that she was evaluating. He says, we're going to use you as a consultant. You can also see footage of the university showdown from the Incredible Hulk. So these three movies, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and Thor, the climax of Iron Man 2 and the bulk of Incredible Hulk and Thor all take place in the same week. So this is called Fury's Bad Week because everything is happening. So yeah, you can tell that all of that stuff was fresh on Nick Fury's mind. He says that we're going to use Tony Stark as a consultant. That does kind of lead to the short film called The Consultant, where they explain that they don't actually want General Ross coming in and mucking up the Avengers stuff. And they know that Ross hates Tony Stark. And that's why, again, it's a retcon, but that's why they sent Tony Stark to talk to General Ross, because
General Ross is from
William Hurt in
oh, I'm sorry. I know him as
Incredible Hulk.
I know him as General Dad.
Right, General Dad. And then that's when Tony says, all right, I'll be your consultant and I'll waive my fee on one condition. And that condition is getting Senator Stern, who has been an antagonist to Tony, to present Rhodey and him with their medals of honor.
I thought that was very funny.
And that's the last scene of the movie.
And the movie that we were watching started to glitch right at the very end. And one of the little glitches made me think the movie was going to end with a freeze frame of Stern.
So that's the movie. There's a little bit more AC/DC in the end credits, and then the post-credits scene with a dramatically different look, very widescreen, different director. We'll talk about that when we get to Thor. It's shot by the director of Thor and was shot for the movie Thor, but was a tease. You did not realize that that was Thor's hammer, but Coulson shows up in the desert in New Mexico. There's a big crater, and there's a hammer sitting suspiciously in it. So that was a big moment where I think people did know that Thor was going to be the next movie. I'm sure that they had announced it, but it's just fun seeing like, it's Thor's hammer. And so that was the close-up, and that's the first glimpse we get to see of Mjolnir, the mythical hammer of Thor.
Oh, okay. Wow. And Coulson calls someone and says,
he's on the phone.
I found it.
Yeah, I think he's talking to Fury.
Okay.
So that's it.
That's it. That's the movie.
That's the movie.
I stand by it. I thought it was entertaining enough to watch. It was definitely messy. I do like Sam Rockwell. I was fairly indifferent before watching the movie to Mickey Rourke, and I do think his character was a little odd in that I understood why he was doing what he was doing, but we just don't really get enough from him. I think it's pretty interesting to hear that there was more story that didn't make it into the final version, because I think that might have, just fleshed out that character a little more, because he's just, he's just petting a bird and wielding electrified whips. And I don't really know. I'm like, okay, well, I guess he builds the drones too, but he's very enigmatic in a confusing way. But I like Sam Rockwell, but I don't think they were both kind of villains. They were co-villains, co-antagonists. Neither one of them was as strong as Jeff Bridges.
Right.
So that was kind of like, well,
weapons manufacturer Jeff Bridges.
Exactly. I feel like the biggest villain was the palladium in the arc reactor. I was not happy about the kiss. I knew it was probably coming, the kiss between Pepper and Tony. I stand by that too. I do not find their chemistry to be romantic, but I don't care that much, but I did say boo when they kissed. Mentally. I didn't say it out loud.
Well, bad news for the rest of the MCU.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well, it's all right.
It is one of the lower points of the MCU. It's not completely unrewatchable because there are scenes that work well as scenes. They just don't fit together as a whole. It's just a patchwork of a movie. It's a mess, but it's at least kind of a fun mess. It's a mess that doesn't take itself too seriously. And again, there's a lot of MCU baggage here. You can kind of see the studio gears grinding, but it's not awful. It's not an awful movie. And it does get followed by a lot of good stuff and things that do work. So, it's not great, but it exists.
Well said.
And that is Iron Man 2. So I am glad that we are continuing on through our journey. Next up is Thor. So that is something we'll probably do in the near future. Yeah. So look forward to that. In the meantime, I'm Dan.
I'm Heather.
And this has been Blind Spots and Second Thoughts.